What if the thing holding you back isn't fear of failure, but fear of what happens if you actually succeed? Most people never stop to consider that. They assume fear means they're not ready, or they assume fear is a sign to stop. But what if fear is just a signal that something important is on the line? Now, the very definition of fear itself is an unpleasant emotion or thought that you have when you are frightened or worried by something dangerous, painful, or bad that is happening or might happen. So when you think about doing something uncomfortable, maybe posting a video, starting a project, or even having a difficult conversation with someone, your brain asks one question: could this hurt me? And when the answer feels uncertain, fear doesn't show up as panic, it shows up as delay. You don't say I'm scared, you say I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll start when I feel more confident. That's how fear wins, not by stopping you, but by convincing you to stop yourself. Now, there have been plenty of times where I'd stop myself from doing something because all I could think about was how hard it was going to be or how much effort I'd have to put in. A great example is actually making videos. I love the process and I love speaking about topics which I consider all the time. But the fear of the video failing because I didn't put enough effort in, or because it's not the way I want the video to be, puts me off from the project for longer than it should. So fear doesn't necessarily show up as anxiety or panic. It can show up as procrastination, with the belief that you're being responsible by putting off that thing that you're fearful of undertaking. Now, with this in mind, fear can be split into two different frames of thought. There is the fear of failure and the fear of success. Now, most people think that they're afraid of failing. They're not. They're afraid of what failure would mean about them. Think about it. If you're afraid of failing, what are the different thoughts that goes through your mind? It could be, if I fail, I'm not good enough. If I fail, people will judge me. Or if I fail, I don't know if I'll be able to handle the pain. With those thoughts in mind, instead of committing fully, people protect their ego. They don't launch properly, they don't post consistently, they quit early. They keep their effort just low enough to say, well, I didn't really try. Because if you don't fully try, you don't fully risk rejection. Fear of failure isn't about the result, it's about protecting yourself from pain. You don't fear failure because you don't want something to not be successful. You fear failure because it's your brain trying to keep you away from the pain and the bad things that may happen if something doesn't go right. Think of a time where you were truly scared of something going wrong. Were you scared of the fact of the failure itself, or were you scared of what comes after it? Look at Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight Rises, for example. He's stuck in the pit after Bane imprisons him there and spends time working to build his strength back up to get out. Now, every time he climbs the walls, he climbs them with a rope attached because he's fearful of failing. But ultimately, that fear of failure is the one thing that stops him from getting out. Well, it's actually the fear of death, but I need this to back up my point. Now, once he actually breaks through and embraces his fear, leaving the rope behind, he then finally makes that last jump. And this is all because he stopped fearing what could happen afterwards. He moved through his fear into success. Failure wasn't an option for him after the rope was left behind. He could only visualize his triumph, and that was only after he embraced that fear of failure. On the flip side, let's talk about the fear almost no one admits they have. The fear of success. Now, the fear of success doesn't sound dramatic, it sounds practical in your mind. For example, if this works, people will expect more from me. If I succeed, I'll be visible. And what if I win and I can't handle it? These are all valid thoughts, but just think, what if it does work? What if you can handle it? What could that positivity actually look like? Success forces consistency, it forces adaptation, and it forces identity change. And that scares people more than failure. That's why you see people start strong, then disappear. They hit momentum, and then they self-sabotage. They get close, and then they pull back. Failure threatens your confidence, while success threatens your comfort. Fearing failing is one thing, but fearing succeeding is another. After all your brain is trying to do is keep you comfortable, trying to make sure that no matter what, you will not experience pain, but once you break through both of those fears, you become something else entirely. Now, just before we continue, a little something for the Edrunner fans out there.
Whatever, Choom. Like I give a shit.
Oh, well.
Now here's the trap. Fear of failure says, what if it goes wrong? Whilst the fear of success says, what if it goes right? Different fears, same behavior. The hesitation, the delay. Your brain looks at both outcomes and chooses the third option. Stay right where you are. That's how people stay stuck for years without realizing fear is making the decisions for them. That comfort zone is something you need to push past. If you're watching this video, I know you don't want to stay mediocre for the rest of your life. You feel the fear and it stops you, but you want to break out of it and stop being comfortable all the time. Like with all things, it's all about taking the first step. Now, here's the shift. You don't need fear to disappear. You need proof. If you recall from my video on confidence, confidence isn't something you wait for, it's something you build through action. That means shrinking the task, aiming for completion, letting imperfect action be enough. Every time you move with fear present, you teach your brain, I survived this. I don't need to avoid this. It's about acting even with all the obstacles in the way. Whether it's the fear of failure or the fear of success stopping you, you need action and you need proof to truly believe that you can handle it and that you can make it through the adversity. So fear doesn't mean stop. It means this matters. So if it's one thing that I want you to take away from this video, it's this. The goal isn't to be fearless. The goal is to stop letting fear make your decisions. Because the life you want isn't on the other side of comfort, it's on the other side of choosing to move anyway. Fear isn't in your way, it's the way forward.